A man stands frozen against the wall, completely motionless. Suddenly, his ear swings open like a door. Two tiny figures step out and toss a ball of yarn into the open air. They rappel down the rope and land on the man's shin. They tap a black mole and trigger another hidden door nearby. Through a maze of tangled wiring, the crew gets straight to work on repairs. This is actually an alien spaceship built in human form. Modeled after its captain, the ship is officially named Dave Ming Chong. Back on their home planet, an energy crisis has pushed the aliens to desperate measures. 3 months ago, they launched an energy orb toward Earth, planning to drain the ocean's saltwater. But mid-flight, it collided with a satellite and went off course, crash landing in a boy's fishbowl. To retrieve the lost orb, the aliens built and launched Dave Ming Chong. The landing, however, didn't exactly go as planned. Dave face planted straight into the ground. Luckily, the hull held up just fine, and he popped right back up without a scratch. He then spread his arms wide and changed into a brand new outfit on the spot. Since Dave had never set foot on Earth before, his walk was stiff and his social skills were basically non-existent. When an old lady smiled at him, Dave tried to smile back, but his creepy grin sent her running. In the middle of the busy city, everything was mind-blowing to him. A woman rolled her eyes at him, so Dave rolled his right back. He spotted a couple kissing and couldn't help but lean in for a closer look.
Why don't you take a picture? It'll last longer.
At an intersection, Dave tried to cross with the crowd, only to walk straight into oncoming traffic on a red light. He got launched 100 meters and hit the pavement like a ragdoll. The driver who hit him absolutely freaked out and rushed over to check on him. Just when she didn't know what to do, Dave suddenly sat straight up. She breathed a sigh of relief, until she noticed his left foot bent at a full 90 degrees. She turned around to make the call, but Dave had already vanished. He limped into a back alley and quietly booted up the self-repair system. What he didn't expect was that the boy who found the orb happened to live right upstairs. And here's the wild coincidence. The woman who hit him was Josh's mom, Gina. Feeling terrible about the accident, Gina warmly invited Dave over to her place. Inside, she handed him a glass of water. Dave was uncomfortable, but he had to keep his cover and forced it down. The crew inside instantly paid the price. A massive flood surged through the ship, washing everyone out. Then Gina's cat strolled over, and Dave kicked it straight across the room. Turns out the ship system had misidentified it as a ferocious lion. Luckily Gina was focused on cooking and missed the whole thing. Then number 3 spotted a photo on the table and couldn't hold back an excited shout. The orb Josh was holding in the picture. That was exactly what they came for. Dave quickly said his goodbyes to Gina and booked it straight to Josh's school. But when he passed by the sports field, he drew a massive crowd of kids around him. Not wanting any extra drama, Dave decided to change his look. He walked into a clothing store, where the staff greeted him enthusiastically. Dave assumed this was just how humans said hello, so he copied the gesture, and immediately cleared out the whole store. In the fitting room, Dave ran into another problem. The crew had zero experience with t-shirts and had no idea how to control the movements. They fumbled around forever and still couldn't get it on. Thankfully, a store employee stepped in just in time to save the day. But once they finally picked an outfit, Dave had another crisis. He was completely broke. He quickly came up with a plan, a quick scan of the counter, and he printed cash right there in the fitting room. Freshly dressed, Dave walked into the school and got stopped immediately by the vice principal. The VP mistook him for the new substitute teacher and dragged him straight into a classroom. Dave had to play along if he wanted to get the orb back. Little did he know, he had just walked into the most chaotic class in the whole school. The second he stepped in, a bully went straight at him.
What is your name?
Smell my
what?
Smell my butt crack.
To get these little troublemakers in line, Dave decided to put on a show. He went wild on the chalkboard, and in seconds, cracked a century-old unsolved math problem. The entire class went dead silent, completely mind-blown. Then Dave stuck a pencil up his nose and sharpened it to a razor point in 3 seconds flat. After class, Josh told Dave the orb had been swiped by a kid named Chubby, who usually hangs out at a nearby shop after school. The two headed over, but Chubby was nowhere to be found. Just as they were about to leave, 2 armed robbers burst through the door. Dave just stood there with zero fear on his face, which really ticked the robbers off. One of them reached out to teach Dave a lesson and got yeeted across the room. The other one pointed a gun straight at Dave, who just pinched the barrel flat with 2 fingers. The robbers had never seen anything like it and straight up bolted. Next, the two headed to an amusement park. On the roller coaster, Dave looked completely unbothered, but inside, the crew was getting absolutely destroyed. After barely recovering, Josh talked Dave into entering a hot dog eating contest. Watching the other competitors go full beast mode, Dave matched their energy and started cramming hot dogs in one after another. The speed was absolutely unreal. The crew inside, of course, was suffering, nearly crushed to death by the flood of sausages. Dave polished off every hot dog and took the gold without breaking a sweat. When he grabbed his prize, a stuffed animal, the system flagged it as a hostile alien. Dave wrestled with it for a while before realizing it was just a gag, and awkwardly handed it to Gina. But trouble came fast. The ship was now stuffed with hot dogs, leaving the crew gasping for air. Dave rushed to the nearest restroom and started unloading them one by one. The sound effects coming from that stall made the constipated guy next door green with envy.
Show off.
Just as he stepped out, he caught Chubby bullying Josh. Dave didn't hesitate. He walked over, grabbed Chubby, and flipped him upside down. Everything fell out of his pockets, including the orb. With the orb recovered, Dave joined Josh in a ball-throwing game, but way overdid it. The baseball bounced back and clocked him square in the face. Already running low on power, Dave blacked out right there on the spot. Dave was rushed to the hospital, and with things looking critical, doctors hit him with a defibrillator. By pure accident, it fully recharged him.
Power has been restored.
To celebrate, Dave invited Josh and Gina out to dinner at a bar. They raised their glasses together. Inside, the crew had just finished cleaning up the hot dog mess, only to get wiped out again by a wave of booze. Once they recovered, they took a sip of the stuff and realized, actually, this slaps. A slightly tipsy Dave then hit the dance floor with Gina when she asked him to join. But right in the middle of the fun, two cops burst in. Turns out they had reconstructed Dave's face from the crash site and posted the sketch all over the city. A cop on patrol had spotted him at the hospital. Not wanting to put anyone in danger, Dave surrendered without a fight. In the interrogation room, he sat completely silent. Meanwhile, inside the ship, things were falling apart. Number 2 was fed up with the captain's friendship with the humans and stirred up a mutiny. He took over the ship and locked up the captain. But since the mic was still on, every word of their argument came blurting out of Dave's mouth.
Never get away with this. The rest of the crew will not support you.
3, you're supporting this. Yes, I see no other way.
The cops were completely baffled and stepped out to figure out what was going on. Without missing a beat, Dave extended a gun barrel finger and blasted a hole clean through the wall with a laser. He calmly walked through, activated full body armor, and shrugged off every shot the police threw at him. Their fire just made him angrier, and he stormed out ready to go full rampage. Inside, Number 3 realized things were spiraling out of control. She slipped into the captain's cell and got him out, but they barely made it a few steps before getting caught again. Number 2 punished them by ejecting them straight out of Dave's nose. Compared to the massive scale of the human world, they were utterly microscopic. They barely hit the ground before nearly getting crushed by a basketball. They scrambled behind a street lamp and almost got peed on by a dog. They made a run for it, only to get blasted away by a ventilation fan. The captain landed safely near a pillar, but Number 3 got stuck in the middle of the road with gum glued to her feet. The captain ran over to help, just as a car came barreling straight at them. Thankfully, they were slim enough to slip right through the tire gap. Spotting a plastic bag nearby, the captain had a light bulb moment. The two grabbed the handles and rode the hot air rising from a manhole cover, floating straight toward the ship. But the bag got snagged on a bus windshield. The driver switched on the wipers and flung them all over the place. In that critical moment, the captain timed his jump perfectly, grabbed Number 3, and they leaped, landing right at the base of the ship's foot. They had made it back alive. But now the ship was nearly out of fuel. Dave could barely even walk straight. Number 2 tried to hail a cab, but Dave's bizarre behavior made every driver keep going.
What? An alien cannot get a cab in this town?
Furious, he yanked a taxi back with brute force and climbed in without a word. Dave arrived at the waterfront, and Number 2 was about to hurl the orb into the ocean. But the captain, who had regained system access, slammed it back down. So there they were, two sides fighting for control of the same body in the middle of the street. The bizarre spectacle drew a huge crowd. Eventually, a misfire caused Dave to do a full backflip and crash to the ground. The orb slipped out of his hand and rolled straight into the ocean. The sky darkened instantly, and a massive vortex formed on the surface. The captain rushed back to the command deck and rallied the crew with a passionate speech, reclaiming control. But now they faced an impossible choice. If they didn't retrieve the orb, Earth would be destroyed. But if they did, they'd burn the last of their fuel and never make it home. Luckily, most of the crew had fallen in love with Earth, and voted unanimously to save it. Dave stretched out his right arm, channeled every last bit of energy, and pulled the orb out of the sea. The sky cleared, and Dave dropped to his knees, completely drained. Josh arrived on the scene, remembered what happened at the hospital, grabbed a cop's taser, and zapped Dave in the back. It worked. Dave was fully charged again. Dave opened his mouth, and the captain stepped out in person. He sincerely apologized to everyone, and thanked Josh and Gina from the bottom of his heart. Their time together had taught him what love and courage really meant. After saying his goodbyes, Dave fired up the engines and prepared to head home. But just as they lifted off, a police net came flying in and yanked them right back down. Before anyone could react, Dave's right foot detached from his body, unfolded, and became a miniature escape pod. And just like that, the little aliens finally made it off Earth.
I didn't think we'd make it out of there. Good thing you have such big feet, Captain.